In this video, I'll be showing you all how I made my no-sew U-part unit. First, you're going to start with the U-part wig cap, which can be found at your local beauty supply store. This one was made for middle parting. You'll also need a glue gun and hot glue gun sticks, which I got from my local craft store. This is the hair that I used by Isis. It's one of those very inexpensive all-in-one packs from the store. This pack came with a 10, 12, 14, and 16 inch, along with a bang and a closure. I'm going to go ahead and start at the bottom with the 16 inch. For each individual track, I start by lining it up to see where I need to cut before I apply any glue. Next, I'm going to go ahead and apply the hot glue, trying to make sure that I'm staying as close to the top of the weft as possible. However, if you mess up like I did many times in this video, you can go ahead and pull it off once it cools. You'll see that when I lay a track, I start in the middle and then work my ways off to the sides. Make sure that you're really pressing down all over the track, but especially on the ends, because if not, it will come up as time goes on. I'm laying the tracks really close together to make sure that my unit is nice and full. After I lay this track, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up for you guys because everything up until the very top is pretty self-explanatory. My brother's friends really wanted to say hi to you guys, so there they were. Another thing to be mindful of is to make sure that you're stretching the cap as you put your track across. This makes sure that the cap doesn't bunch up underneath and become too small for your head. You'll notice at this point that I'm still taking the tracks ear to ear to make sure that I have that length all the way around. And once this is filled in and we get to the very middle, I'm just going to start filling in the extra space. And this is how far I got with the first quote-unquote bundle. Now moving on to the 14 inch. As you can see here, this particular track did not lay right, so what I did was let the glue dry and then rip it right off and lay it all over again. And you can do that with no problem. Even if you need to reinforce as I just did, it'll work out just fine. As for this little flap on the cap, I did not glue any tracks onto that part. I start behind where that seam is and just keep taking my tracks on over. Here you can really see the horseshoe pattern in which I've laid the tracks, and now I'm about to start filling in from the middle to the top. Making our way right to the 12-inch. And I can't forget to mention, those push pins holding your cap onto the styrofoam head will be life-saving. Now that I've gone ahead and filled in that middle, I'm going back to taking the tracks all the way to the edges of the cap, and that's just to maintain that fullness. See, at this point I start spacing out the tracks a little more, and honestly I thought I was gonna run out of hair. This pack came with a closure piece and a bang piece, both of which I did not expect to use, but I had to get innovative, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So right here I'm adding the closure piece because once again I just knew this hair was not gonna stretch. I went ahead and pinned the hair up on the closure so it didn't get glue on it, and then I just glued all over the lace. Now I'm placing it firmly in the middle to make sure that it's nice and flat and that it just meshes with the rest of the tracks. And though I didn't expect to do this, this actually is a great tip for if you want your unit to be really full and you want to use every bit of the hair that's in the pack rather than spacing it out. For the remainder of the unit, I'm using the bang piece that came in, and you'll see that it has a little bump to it, and we're going to get that straight in just a second. But this is really how I was able to fill in the rest of the cap. And once again, as you go along, feel free to pick off that dry glue so it's not coming through from underneath your leave out. Now I'm just laying that last and final track as close as you can get to the top so you don't have any gaps, and taking off that extra glue once more. Now you're going to cut that little string that holds the U part together and take off your pins. Now just taking a flat iron and going through and meshing the closure, the bang piece, and the tracks together so everything can be nice and seamless. Next, you're just going to detach the unit from the styrofoam head, and because the glue goes through, you're going to have to pull a little bit. Here's my final product after braiding down my hair, sewing the unit down, and straightening my leave out. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and if you want to see how I sew my units down or blend my leave out, feel free to let me know in the comments below. See you all in my next video.